Hey, Kenny Suter here. I guess I'm delighted to be on the show this afternoon to introduce you to the host of the show. Now, this guy has brought this show from just a couple people watching to tens of people watching. Ladies and gentlemen, if you would please, how about a big round of applause for Itchy?
Hey, this is Itchy. When I was a kid a long time ago, I used to love to play cowboys and Indians. Some of my most favorite characters was the Gunnerslingers and the Desperados. Billy the Kid used to shoot people in the back. You know, there must have been something wrong with him, because if he was alive today, we would probably give him some kind of meds to settle him down, and maybe he would not shoot people in the back all the time like a big sissy. Anyway, my other favorite character was Wyatt Earp, who was a man who owned the casinos and he owned the prostitution people. He used to take this prostitution and make money all the time. The cowboys would run the cattle across the ground and the cattle would go, ba-doom, ta-doom, ta-doom. We're going to go to the prostitution house of Wyatt Earp. And Wyatt Earp would get their money from the cowboys, and the cowboys would they'd say, Wyatt Earp, you're a good man. And that's the way Wyatt Earp was. He was a kind of an itchy kind of guy. Anyway, my other favorite guy was Jesse James. He was a bank robber, and, you know, Jesse used to bring free money back to, of course, Itchy's relatives, because Itchy's relatives were just those kind of guys. And they would take the money and they would put it in the box. They would not put it in the bank. They put it in the box, not in the bank. And that's the way Itchy's relatives was with Jesse James. Jesse James was a very, very good friend of Itchy's relatives, and we loved him. So anyway, we want you to stay tuned, and if you don't stay tuned, I'll come to your house and I'll make you stay tuned. How's that? Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. I got a guy here. His name is Joe from the Midnight Company. Is that correct?
Correct.
It's called the Midnight Company from St. Louis, Missouri. What do you got in your hand, Joe?
This is a Navy Colt. This is a replica gun. It's non-fireable, but it's circa 1850, 1860. These are the guns that guerrillas used in the Civil War, and then after, if they happen to have a need for guns.
That's a very nice weapon. You know, Itchy has probably used some things like this in the past to do honorable things for the people, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, Joe, take this gun and tell me about Jesse James. This is the thing I'm interested in tonight. I want you to tell me about Jesse James, because I know the Midnight Company did this show under Jesse James. I want you to kind of go through that thing. Tell me the history of what he was like.
Yes, we wrote a play and presented it called The Ballad of Jesse James. We tried to tell the true story about Jesse and people like him growing up in the Kansas-Missouri border, growing up as kids in this terrible violence and bloodshed, being drawn into the Civil War. When he was 10, 12 years old, people were assaulting his family and burning his farm and trying to hang his dad and almost beat him half to death.
So he was kind of a pissed off kind of guy.
He was. And Jesse, you know, even to begin with, he was an Old Testament guy. You know, he liked the Old Testament. It was eye for eye, tooth for tooth. Yep. And so by the time he was about 15, he was riding with the guerrillas, who were just murderous, back-shooting kind of irregulars that
kind
were
of Itchy's kind of people, you know, just the kind of guy Itchy is, too. Go on, Joe. I like these people so far.
So Jesse saw a lot of carnage during that time. When they got out of the Civil War, they were in a very difficult position in Missouri. The state had passed a lot of laws against their type of people. He was restricted to what he could do. He couldn't get loans from a bank. Farms were in ruins. They turned to unlawful activities. Jesse and his gang, and it was Jesse's idea. They pulled the first daylight bank robbery in history.
Unlawful activities. Itchy is not for this.
Well, I understand that's. I like that.
Don't touch Itchy.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Joe.
But so they were a truly successful gang. They robbed and rode untouched for 25 years.
25 years.
One of the reasons was, I mean, photography was video. Photography was not that prevalent in those days, so nobody knew what he looked like. But they were very good too. They learned two things in the Civil War. They learned about guns and they learned about horses. And so they all, as they were successful, they invested in good horse flesh and better guns.
Because the straighter you can shoot, you get your guy without him trying to catch you when you got his money, right?
Exactly. Hopefully you don't have to shoot. Just scare him. So Jesse went on, and he literally fought the Civil War until the end of his days. He was a terrorist. He wasn't just an outlaw. He was still a member of the South. He was fighting against the oppressive machine, and he was a tool too of a lot of political people who used him as an example of someone who was still doing that.
So what are you telling me? Is Jesse was a true American?
He was, and
Some people may not agree with that, but Itchy looks at Jesse as a true American. Are you kidding me? Go ahead, Joe.
He was an individual who believed in freedom and states' rights. And, he fought for his cause, but he stood up for himself and his cause as well.
That's excellent.
And he was assassinated in a state-sponsored killing, which, cost a lot of people their careers. The governor of Missouri at that time was headed for the presidency, and it came out that he helped finance and approve this assassination of Jesse, and
So
his political career went down.
So the bigger people in the political power back then put Jesse in the ground.
Yes, and business was part of it too. There was a lot of businesses moving west at that time, and Illinois, for example, in Chicago was saying, don't bring your business into Missouri. Missouri's the mother of outlaws. They can't control them there. Come to Chicago. And Missouri is the mother of outlaws.
Well, can you imagine any more outlaws in Missouri? Because Itchy's a preacher. I'm not no outlaw. Really, I'm not. Anyway, I want to thank Joe for being on our show. And Joe, tell me more about the Midnight Company. What do you guys do exactly?
We do theater. We write some of our own, but produce other stories we hope are interesting to people, and we produce theater in spaces all over town.
We'll love this. This is a St. Louis operation, and I love Joe, and I appreciate him coming down to talk about Jesse James, who's one of my heroes. I want everybody to stick with us, and if you don't, I'm going to come to your house and I'll make you stick with us, okay? Go ahead and just drop this, bro. Okay, so you caught a bullet.
Take that, Itchy. Dance for me now. Dance.
On the Big Brother and Itchy Show, we always like to promote the St. Louis music. We got a band to come out for yours called The Willow. These guys play kind of a country style in a way, and the next song that come on up is called a Tex Appeal. Tex Appeal is a song these ladies that sings for this band. It's written. Her name is Teresa Miller, and the name of the band is Willow. Here they come.
My baby, well, he does that thing, well, that drives me crazy, if you know what I mean. That hair struts in his cowboy boots, you ought to see him without shoes.
Ladies and gentlemen, did you like that song? I loved that song. I have with me tonight Teresa Miller from the band called The Willow, and she is the person who's writing this song. This song is called The Tex Appeal. Teresa, can you please tell Itchy very, 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 very calmly and very nicely and very pretty, by the way. You're a very pretty lady.
Well, thank you.
Or you would
You're
not have been on
very-
Itchy's
you're
show.
very handsome.
I'm a very handsome?
Yes.
Itchy likes to hear this.
I know you do.
Touch me.
That's why.
Don't touch me.
Okay.
Touch me? Don't touch me. Anyway, she wrote this song, and it's called A Tex Appeal. Where did you come up with this kind of thing?
Well, it was a song about a guy who had like, Tex appeal, but he wasn't from Texas. That's the whole thing. So, he had all the makings to be a hot little Texan. So the whole song evolved around the line Tex appeal, which saying he is not from Texas, but he's got that Tex appeal.
So Teresa, will you write a song about a man who's got a Tex appeal, and he's kind of from Texas, and he's not from Texas, maybe?
He's not from Texas, but he's got Tex.
He's got a Tex appeal, kind of like Itchy, eh?
Right.
I know. This is what I'm talking about.
Love your hat, by the way.
Thank you very much. Just don't touch Itchy, okay? Anyway, Teresa, there's a song that you did called a Tex appeal. I want to know one more thing about it.
What's that?
How do you write these kind of songs about the sexy guys?
Because I like sexy guys.
You like a sexy guys. You
Yes,
like Itchy
I
too,
do,
don't you?
yeah.
Anyway, Teresa Miller from Willow is here, and I want to thank her for coming on our show.
Hey, senor! I will come to your country and I will work for free. See?
No.
Oh, I see. Voila.
I love the Wild West. Do you love the Wild West? Tonight, I have a man. Look at this man. His name is Martin Bergman. He is from the Wild West, and I'm so appreciative to have him on my show. He's been on the Tonight Show. He's been on Johnny Carson's show, and here he is on the Big Brother and Itchy show. I think this is so fantastic for me to have this man on my show. Martin, welcome to my show.
Well, Itchy, it is a pleasure to be here with you this evening. I'm not sure why, but it's a pleasure to be
It's
here
because
with
I
you.
paid you a lot of money to come here, Martin.
Oh, well, that's a good reason.
And the check is in the mail. So anyway, Martin is going to tell us about Billy the Kid. Billy, you know a lot of things about the Old West, and I really appreciate you telling me something about Billy the Kid, because I know he was a back shooting little dog that maybe needed some medication to settle him down. But you tell me about Billy the Kid.
Well, Itchy, I grew up in West Texas, New Mexico, and down in that, it's cowboying down in that country, and everybody down there knows about old Billy the Kid, and he was just a punk. If he was alive today,
Yes, sir.
Billy the Kid would be a gangbanger.
He would be a gangbanger going,
He never did anything.
I'm Billy the Kid.
Yep, that's it.
That would be it. Okay, Martin,
He
tell
never
me more.
did anything honest. When he was about 14 or so, his mother was a hooker for real in Silver City, New Mexico, and an army sergeant said some unkind words about his mother, who was a hooker. So Billy killed him and went on a run.
Did he shoot that
And-
one in the face, or did he shoot him in the back?
He killed him with a hammer.
That's
And he went to Arizona. He got arrested, he broke out, went up through the chimney and got away and went to Arizona. And he came back to New Mexico, and where he became famous was in what was called the Lincoln County Wars, where the ranchers and the big business were fighting, and Billy was on the rancher's side against the other side, and they just shot people in the back. When you see these movies where they meet each other on the street, stare each other down and go for their irons,
Yes, sir.
that only happened twice.
That only happened twice in the Wild West?
Twice.
2 times.
Once in Springfield, Missouri with Wild Bill Hickok, and one in Fort Worth with a guy named Luke Short. The rest of them shot him in the back, and Billy the Kid was a definite back shooter. There was nothing heroic about him. He finally broke out. They arrested him for murder, convicted him. The governor of New Mexico kind of screwed over him because he said he'd give him a pardon and then didn't, and he got condemned to hang. And he broke out of jail, and he shot, as everybody knows, when he broke out, he shot a deputy marshal or sheriff.
Now, this deputy marshal, from what I understand, was a guy who really mistreated Billy the Kid when he came there. He beat the hell out of him. He beat him and beat him and beat him.
Yeah, well,
and then one day, he was outside the jail, right?
He shot 2 of them.
He shot the 2 of them.
The jailer's name was Bell,
Yes.
and there was this hooker, and he had to go.
Imagine a hooker being involved.
Well, he had to go to the outhouse, and she left a gun. For
Yes,
him in
sir.
the
I've
outhouse,
read this story.
And he
Go ahead.
shot Bell, and then he shot the other deputy coming across the street with his own shotgun and got away. And then Pat Garrett tracked him down to Fort Sumter, and in the night shot him and killed him.
And that was the end of the Billy the Kid.
He was a dead sucker.
He was a deadly
But-
sucker.
Pat Garrett, who shot him, was a loser. They made him a hero. And Pat Garrett, who was had made sheriff of Lincoln County, raced horses and gambled and ranced, and he lost at everything he did. The only thing he ever did was he killed Billy the Kid. And then he got killed in the White Sands in New Mexico, and they never figured out who killed him.
They never
They
figured
were
out.
just a bunch of damn killers and thugs in hoods.
That's a great place to be. You know what I'm saying? Itchy, it loves this kind of world. Now I want to ask you one more
Well,
question.
so do I.
I know you do because you're a crazy man just like Itchy. I want to ask you one more question. Wyatt Earp, was he a prostitution guy? Like I have read about him. Was his family on the good side? Were they on the bad side? Were they on Itchy's side? Whose side were they on?
They weren't on Itchy's side.
Don't touch Itchy.
Don't touch Itchy. Okay. Well, Wyatt Earp's dad was a preacher, but Wyatt Earp was an asshole. Excuse me, I didn't mean that.
Yes, you
Oh,
did.
this is
You mean
too
an
bad.
asshole?
I didn't want to say it on television.
You can say it on the television because this is the kind of
Wyatt
television we
Earp
got.
and his-
Excuse me, I dropped my bullets.
Okay, Wyatt Earp and his brothers were all hooked up with hookers. They weren't married to them. They were just with them.
Martin, can I ask you a question?
But they call
How come
them
all
their
your
wives.
stories have hookers in them?
Because I like them.
I do too. Go ahead.
Show me a cowboy that don't like a hooker. I'll show you a cowboy that ain't a cowboy.
Yeah, I know.
But anyway, they
I made your mind go
migrated-
crazy because you're talking about hookers, didn't I, not, Martin?
No, well, so do I. They migrated west and ended up out in Tombstone, and they had their hookers that they called their wives, and they weren't their wives. And there's a fine edge in those days between the good guys and the bad guys. The good guys were as bad as the bad guys,
They just had
but
a
they
badge.
had the control. They had the badge.
Like an idiot.
So Wyatt Earp and his brothers controlled the gambling in Tombstone. They controlled the prostitution in Tombstone.
They were kind of like Itchy's the people who control a lot of things. huh?
Not like a lot of your people.
Yes, go ahead.
And the Cowboys, they were known as the Cowboys, opposed Earp. The gunfight at the OK Corral, for one thing, wasn't fought in the OK Corral. It was fought in an alley over to the side.
Now, why do they say that this is in the OK Corral when it's in an alley on the side? Why do they say this?
Because the Clantons, who they were feuding with, were in the OK Corral waiting on them. And when the Earps and Holiday came down the street, the Clantons came out. And the shootout took place in an alley, not in a corral. And it was not a law enforcement. They say it was because they were carrying fire. The Clantons were carrying guns when they weren't supposed to, and they came to disarm them. That's a bunch of bull crap. It was a family feud.
It was a family feud between the Clantons and the Wyatt Earps.
And the Earps went down there and shot their butts off.
And they had a
and-
badge to do this with, eh?
They had the badge, and they were tried before a jury for murder of these guys, and they were found innocent.
Well,
But later, the Clantons came back and killed a couple of them.
would you not have killed people that kill your relatives? I would. And I know you're packing, so Itchy's always a packing, so you know what I'm saying. If someone pisses us off, we're going to come after them, right, Martin?
Bet your poo-poo.
Bet your poo-poo.
You know, I'm trying to say nice words on your television program here.
It's
Itchy,
okay,
but
Martin. I know you're a crazy
I don't
cowboy.
want to say a bad words.
Well, you can say the bad words, and it doesn't matter with Itchy because anyway, I want to thank Martin for being on our show.
Well,
Martin,
before
very
I
much.
go away.
Yes, sir.
I wrote a new poem
You got a poem.
2 days ago.
I want to hear this poem.
Can I tell it to you?
You can tell it to me,
I
please.
haven't done this to anybody. I just wrote it about 2 days ago.
We are so honored
And
to
it's
be
not
the ones to hear
called-
this.
And I call it, It Ain't Easy.
Can I please hear this?
It ain't easy being a cowboy in this day and age. Our range is getting smaller. They're building condos in the sage. It ain't easy being a cowboy like when I was just a kid. There's a 4-lane behind the bunkhouse and indoor plumbing with a lid. It ain't easy being a cowboy. I guess I'll give her up. I no longer ride my horses and I drive a damned old pickup truck. No, it ain't easy being a cowboy. And I guess it's kind of strange, but Itchy, I've always been a cowboy and I'm too damn old to change. No, it ain't easy.
I love it. It's
And
the kind of
that's for
stuff.
you, Itchy, the first
Thank you
time
very
I've ever
much,
done it.
Martin. I really, really appreciate
Thank
you
you
being
for
on my
having
show.
me, my
you're
friend.
you're a good man. You're a good American, and I appreciate it. And good night. And we're going to go into the next segment right now. Martin is a fantastic guy. Thank you very much.
And cowboy up.
I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy.
Hi. Tonight I want to talk to you about a great American legend, Annie Oakley, or Wanton Cecilia, who Sitting Bull aptly named for Little Miss Sure Shot. This woman was amazing. She could shoot from 90 feet a playing card in half and then put 5 more bullets in it before it ever touched the ground. She played before all of the royal crowned heads of Europe, including the Prince of Prussia, who was to become the future Kaiser Wilhelm. She shot his cigarette ash off of his cigarette. Now, legend has it, and think about this. What if she had missed? What would the outcome of World War I have been?
Our house band, the Benevolent Mushrooms, is coming up with a song for you. It's called The White Man and the Indian. This is a very, very good song by the Benevolent Mushrooms, and we want you to listen to this one coming up. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to thank you for watching the Bigger Brother and Itchy show. Did you like our show about the Wild West? I did, because I love all the Daltons and the Wyatt Earp and all those guys and all the things they did, because they carved this country. At the early stages of this country, they carved this thing out of a rock. And the Indians that were here, they were kind of screwed around too. But anyway, we got a great nation. And I want to thank everyone that participated in our show. And we want to thank you for watching. And I want to tell you one thing. If you don't watch this show, I'll come to your house and make you watch us. What do you think about that?